Somebody's saying, friend bought an auction deed. He kept the house to use as collateral to do business with hard money lenders and banks to use the capital. Forgot to ask, is this a good strategy? Well, the thing is, if they bought a property at a deed auction and it's paid for free and clear, and if that thing's worth $100,000 or $200,000, you can easily borrow against it or get a line of credit and secure it against that property. So in my opinion, I think that's a great way to leverage money. If you get the property 40-50% below market value, it's paid for free and clear, then you can get a line of credit on that and do a lot more transactions. Let's see here from Kentucky. Good to see everybody here. How do you search liens? Is it different out of state? So that'll probably tailor into the question for Josh here, which is, Josh, what are some of the ways that you've seen people lose money on these properties?
I would think that liens would be one of the biggest ones. And so I would say like nationwide, pretty much every county or state is going to wipe out things like the mortgage. They're going to wipe out judgments, a lot of stuff like that. But what is state specific is going to be, how do they treat liens, specifically municipal liens? And so the county, they don't like to wipe out their own interest. That's why the opening bid, it's going to be the back taxes and then attorney's fees. They're going to really account for every single dollar that they spend because they don't want to lose any money. So even things like sending letters in the mail, like $5, they're going to go ahead. They're going to account for everything, penny by penny. And so they don't like to wipe out their own interest. And so the question is, what are they going to do about a municipal lien? If somebody hasn't cut the grass. And so usually a good indication that there is going to be a municipal lien. Let's say you are driving a property, it's a vacant piece of land. Opening bid is $1,000. It's worth $25,000, right? Really good numbers. And then you show up and the grass is like 6 feet high. The first thing I would wonder is, how long has it been 6 feet high? Just recently? Did someone only recently start to abandon this? And then you check Google Street View and you notice, wow, okay, it was actually 6 feet high a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And they think about that. A decade ago, if the county started hitting them like small grass liens, right? Maybe it's $300 a pop, but if they accrue interest over a decade, a small grass lien, could start like this and then expand into something huge. And in Florida, that's a place they do not wipe out municipal liens. And so someone had once put a deposit down on a property and they asked, should we go ahead and pay the balance? And I said, did you do a title search? And they said, no, we didn't do a title search. I said, let's do a title search first, just to make sure, because it was a vacant piece of land. So the title search, there was like $46,000 in municipal liens for that kind of thing, like grass, nuisance abatement, not taking care of the land. And so that would have wrecked them, right? Because now they spent money, they acquired a tax deed, and now they're on the tax roll. They got to be paying taxes on this. It's just a headache. And then it's underwater too. So if they try to sell it, whoever buys it from them is now going to have to handle that. And so it's just a mess. And so they avoided that property, but that would be why it's so important to actually look this up. Now, like Philadelphia, they also have like huge amounts of liens all the time, but they will wipe them out. And so it's very different, right? And so if you were to only do like auctions in Philadelphia and then take the same line of thinking to Florida, you could see how that wouldn't serve you well because it's not the same everywhere. And it goes in Texas as well. They're generally not going to wipe out their own interest. We check court records and we rarely see them eliminate themselves. They won't wipe out their own county liens. And so we always want to go ahead, do a title search, check for liens, make sure that everything we find is accounted for. Because sometimes, it's a small thing. Maybe it's $300 from last year. There's not much interest. So that's no problem. We can go ahead and we can account for that. But if you go in blind, that would be extremely uncomfortable because you just don't know. And then even a property that looks fantastic from the outside, there could have been something that happened with the county that we don't know about. And so you always want to go ahead and do that title search just to make sure. And you can do that. It says, is it different if you're out of state? Most times you can do it online, which is really convenient and fantastic. But some places, especially smaller counties, you're going to have to go into the county recorder's office and do it manually on their computer, which is pretty rare. But if that was the case, you could always go ahead and pay someone to do it for you.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I have a free gift for you for watching a free mini course called The ABCs of Tax Lien and Deed Investing. This is one of the best books on tax liens, and it is totally free as my gift to you for watching in the description below. It'll walk you through tax liens from start to finish, along with the directories with all 1,500 tax lien and deed counties put here so that you don't have to go and search around the internet to find them on your own. So the other thing I have is, if you already have this book and you want to do a deep dive, my team and I have found an auction with a whole bunch of properties worth 200 to 300 grand, opening bids of just 1,600 bucks. So if you want to deep dive and attend an auction with some help, you can also schedule a free call below and we can discuss helping you in this business. Regardless, thanks for watching. You can check things out in the description below and enjoy the videos. We'll see you soon.